Hey everyone, it's Daniel Burnett here from Imperfect Designs with another Spaced Out tutorial. This time we're going back into Photoshop and we're going to show you how to do this kind of demonic eye look. I don't really know how else to describe it. It's just red patterns in the eyes, gives it a kind of Hollywood demon look. If you see what she looks like without it, just normal. With it, it's there. So it's a subtle effect, but it's kind of striking, and I think it could work well for many different projects. So let's get started. First, you need your picture. I just found this on Google Images. Look for a large picture, or if you're taking it yourself, try to get a close-up on the face, because that way your eyes can be big and in detail, and you can really show off the effect well. So in this case, if I press Control-Alt-0 and zoom into full size, you can see it's very large, which is really good. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is to select just the iris of the eye. That's the colored part of the eye. So create a new layer, and we'll call this Effect. And we're going to grab our ellipse tool and click from the center of the eye, from the middle of the pupil. And if you hold down Alt as you drag, it will drag from the center instead of off to the side. So just hold down Alt and try to get a nice selection. And you might have to move it over a little bit. You just want to try to get the best estimate of the iris as you can. Now we need to take out the eyelid that's in the way up there. So I'm just going to use the lasso tool for that. Choose Subtract. And just draw around the eyelid. Take that out. And there you go. We're going to want to go to Filter, Render, Clouds, and before you do, make sure that you have black and white selected as your colors, or press D to set that. And then Render Clouds. And you might want to hold Control and press F a few times. Try to find something with at least some darks and some lights. And we really want to get this contrasty. So if you go up to Images, Adjustment, Levels, you can start bringing down the whites and bringing up the blacks to get some nice contrast. And I think this will work well. Alright, so now we want to turn these clouds into a texture. So we go to Filter, Stylize Glowing Edges. And that's going to give us this nice, almost a hair texture or a wisp of smoke. It's just really cool textures. And you can adjust the settings as you want. I've noticed that if you bring the smoothness down too much, it makes it a bit complex and a little crowded. So I tend to keep the smoothness up to the maximum at 15. The edge brightness you can bring down, but then it would be hard to see. The lower the brightness is, the harder it's going to be to see in the final image. So I keep that up at max at 20. And then I can just play around with the edge width to change the brightness of the highlights. If I bring it down to 1, you see you don't get many highlights, but you get more detail. If you bring it up, you get less detail and more highlights. So just play around with that. I think that's going to be good for me at 3. And once you get a texture you like, press OK. And there it is. Now you want to hold Control or Command on a Mac and click on the layer thumbnail to select it. And then you can press Select, Modify, and Feather. And we're going to feather this out about 5 pixels just to make it blend into the picture a bit better. And then you want to go to Select. I usually use there it is. I usually use the shortcut keys, so pardon me if I've forgotten where something is. But select Inverse or Control-Shift-I. And that's actually just selected everything outside of this layer. And since we feathered it, we should just be able to hit Delete. And actually do that a couple of times. And it really blends it in. But it's not completely blended in, obviously. It still looks like something's pasted on there, because you can't see the pupil. So we're going to change the effects layer's blend mode to overlay. And already you've gotten some of that texture in there, but it's not red or demonic or anything. So to do that, with our effects layer selected, we're going to press Control or Command U to bring up the hue saturation effects. And we're just going to colorize it. So that's cool, it's already on red. I'm just going to bring up the saturation. I don't want to do it too much because then it looks cheesy, so something like that. And there you go. And in this case, I actually think I want to feather it out a little more. So Shift F6 to open the feather box. Leave it at 5 pixels. Control Shift I to select inverse, and then just delete it a few more times. There you go. That's nice. And you can even, if you want, bring down the opacity to something lower. 90. Yeah, I'm going to go with about 95 here. There. And that's one eye. And for the other eye, you literally just do the same thing. So I'm going to call this effect left eye. Wow. Effect left eye. And do the process again. So select. This. And then subtract her eyelid. And guys, remember, I'm doing this on a laptop touchpad. I'm sure I could get much better selections with a mouse, but oh well. Right, filter, render, clouds. Do that, Control F a few times. Ooh, that would have been good. Okay. Image, adjustments, levels. Bring up the contrast in this. That. Filter, stylize, glowing edges. I'll just leave it with the settings I had before. First Shift F6 to feather, and since I had to do it twice on this eye, I'm going to go to 10 pixels this time. Control Shift I to select inverse, and delete, and I'll delete twice. Okay. Switch to overlay, and Control or Command U, and colorize, and bring up the saturation a bit, like that, and set this to 95%. And there you go. Demon eyes. Now, if you wanted to, you could add an outer glow to this to try to get like glowing red eyes. So let me show you what that would look like. But as you can see, because of the feather, that doesn't really work. So if you wanted to add a glow to it, which wasn't in my original, this was just the effect with no glow, you can fake a glow by creating a new layer, and we'll call this left. Why do I keep confusing those? Left glow. Bring it down below your effects layers. Grab your brush and make it just a bit larger than the iris. Choose a red color and press it a couple times. And then you want to control click your effects so that you can delete that out. And last but not least, use your eraser to erase the edges here that are on her eyelid, or his if you're using a different image. So just grab that, take that out. Okay, and then of course you can just duplicate the glow, drag it over to your other eye, and then just move it and rotate it around until it matches, which will be easier to see without the background. It'll be easier to see if we created, just fill it with black so that you can really see it. And so now I can take the left glow copy, which is actually the right glow, and rotate it around. And I'm jumping through this part because this isn't actually part of the effect that I had made originally, so pardon me for doing that. Move it. There. Ooh, that was terrible. You know what? I'm just going to edit this part out. So like I said, fast tutorial, really nice effect, and of course you can play around with it and change the color, make it green or blue or whatever you want, make it more saturated, make it brighter, add a glow. Always, always, always play around with all of the things you learn in these tutorials and try to come up with something of your own. So until next time,